Well, it's certainly a different dynamic, Adam, this year. We've seen for the first time one of the most powerful leagues in the world decide to actually go on its own and have its own transfer deadline. So the Premier League and indeed the English Football League have decided they're going to have a deadline earlier than the rest of Europe. And now, some interesting reasons behind that I think we may have forgotten is that they may recall last year there was a real concern over the raiding of clubs after the start of the season, and managers being disrupted, their plans being disrupted, people buying season tickets in the legitimate expectation they might see a particular player, then suddenly finding he's playing for a rival the following day. So I think the rationale behind it is absolutely very sensible, and I think the English game should be applauded for doing that. Unfortunately, we might find in the next 2 or 3 weeks, however, that a lot of the clubs come a-raiding from elsewhere because there's no restriction on clubs in other leagues from actually assigning players after today's window in the English game. So I think everyone's looking at operationally to see how that's going to work.
Is there a sentiment from the Premier League that they want to be the pioneers of this idea that to get a settled squad, and they expect that European clubs maybe one day will follow suit, or do European clubs maybe see this as an opportunity to maybe pick up the pieces of where the Premier League maybe thinks it's the dominant force, where it doesn't always have to be? I think there's
an interesting dynamic going on here because, of course, the leagues are very competitive with each other. There's obviously a slight resentment of the amount of money that's flowing around the English game because of the quality of the TV deal that's been done. So if the European leagues perceive this as an opportunity to get something back in that term of trading sense, that they might do that. But I think if we look at the integrity of the competition, I think from a European point of view, when you've got teams competing in the same European competition, it doesn't feel right to me that they're bound by different deadlines. I think the good thing about English football is that I think it's becoming more able to defend its contractual position. You'll still see players trying to force through moves, but I think clubs now in the UK and in England, more importantly, are exactly able to look after themselves because they're big enough and they're making profits. They don't necessarily have to be put under pressure, so they can enforce their contractual rights. So they will want to make sure that there is a replacement before they sell. And I think what that might mean is you'll see, actually, hold on guys, we're not going to be pressured here. We'll see how we go at the start of the season. If we're struggling, we might sell in January, or we might invest more in January.
We've seen that idea about having a replacement in place, that Chelsea have, the exact thing that they've done. How does it affect things when there's a summer tournament in the middle of it all? Does that mean that clubs are willing to do things earlier? How sophisticated is the approach that they're taking?
Well, I think people have forgotten that the window is still, in England, is still 12 weeks. It just opened earlier. And so a lot of the clubs decided to get their business done quickly. I think it's a good idea to get the business done quickly in a World Cup year because sometimes you have inflationary pressures. If a player has a particularly great World Cup, you end up forcing yourself to pay more because he is in the shop window. So I think that's a really good reason to do business. And I think if you look at Arsenal, Liverpool and Man City in particular, they got their business done early. That brings stability to the clubs, and they mean that they haven't got to scramble around late in the day where their bargaining position might not be so good. I think the perception is, during the course of the World Cup, because we were all probably in this country very much wrapped up in it, was that actually there wasn't a lot of things going on. But in terms of the numbers themselves, or maybe not the figures, the numbers themselves are not too different. But I just don't think it's had the same focus as it would have done in a non-World Cup year.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.